So as of Tuesday, RED officially announced that there would be a price drop for the RED Komodo X and the OG Komodo. Now, to what a lot of people didn't realize, because it wasn't in most of the actual banners and any of the graphics, was that this price drop was pretty extensive. RED actually announced that the OG Komodo would be going from selling at $6,000 down to $5,000, and that the Komodo X, which was selling for $10,000, would now be selling for just $7,000. That is a $3,000 price difference on the Komodo X and a $1,000 price difference on the OG Komodo. And this sent shockwaves because for a lot of people, let's be real, when we look at buying a RED camera, we know that the price tag that we see is not the price tag you're going to pay. There's always an additional cost, whether you have to buy batteries, memory, monitors. Like, there's a lot of accessories that go into it. So when people saw $10,000 on the OG Komodo, they were like, ooh, that's $10,000 starting, but I'm going to have to spend more than that. But to then see that the price went down to $3,000 sent shockwaves. And I think the thing that really just jacked with people's heads is that this is not a sale. Now, the Komodo and the Komodo X has gone on sale before. They did put it on sale a few months ago as part of a program for a back to film set. So this was after all the strikes were over and all that was done and Hollywood was getting back up and running. RED had a sale on some of their products, but this is not a sale. This is not temporary. This is the new price. You know how some people say yesterday's price is not today's price? Well, a lot of people are wishing that today's price was yesterday's price, because this is where we're sitting now, that, you know, you can now get a Komodo X for body only, $7,000. And we also saw the price of all the packages come down now to actually reflect this as well. So We're talking about the V-Log package. We're talking about the starter package on both the Komodo and the Komodo X. And I got news of this, just for full clarity. I got news about this Tuesday morning, okay? I'm being very clear. I found out Tuesday morning, and then I was like, they were like, hey, if you want to make a video about this, here's the new price, just so you know. I was like, cool. I started working on the video almost immediately, and before I was even done with the video, it was public knowledge. So I was like, oh, this is like happening now. I wasn't ready. I was not ready, but I did get my video out on time, and it's clear from the response of my video on my main Brandon Washington YouTube channel that people had opinions.
Oh, yeah. Well, you know the first thing that I did, Brandon?
What'd you do?
The moment you texted me, where I went straight to B&H and started creating packages.
Yeah.
So what you kind of said is, like, obviously the price of the camera, it's just the brain.
Yeah.
It needs more. And so I'm literally trying to find, not the cheapest, chat, because it's not about necessarily finding the cheapest things.
Yeah.
But, like, what would you need to make this camera functional and ready to kind of slot into the type of stuff that I do? Interviews, real estate, some small businesses, gyms, stuff like that. So I will tell you, I got the price to about $12,000.
Wow, really?
$12,000.
Okay.
With the KX. So 3 batteries, two terabyte cards, port keys monitor, cage from Condor, and that's it.
Yeah.
That's it. So $12,000. And so I didn't obviously go for the cheapest of cheapest things, but also didn't go for like the deal. And I gotta be honest with you, that $3,000 price point, bringing it down, man, gosh, it makes it from going from what it was to what it is now, it really puts into contention for me on the C400.
You know what's crazy? So when the C400 first got announced, I was not like, I even said it here on the podcast, I don't think those cameras really even compete, right? But I do understand that, like, when you are thinking about buying a camera, you probably put a budget in your mind. You're like, okay, I'm about to spend about $8,000 to $10,000. What else could that money get me?
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
And so then you start, like, looking at other cameras, other ecosystems. What would it cost to buy into that ecosystem and all those things? And it was very interesting to me because I never was like, oh yeah, these cameras are even worth like looking at side by side. But at a $3,000 price difference, like you said, like you sent me over your price tag and you're like, yeah, Brandon, it's still coming out like, almost $12,000. I was like, yeah, but that could be $15,000.
So here's the deal. I got to be honest with you because I'm not sold. I have not purchased anything. Gosh, we have to make some money moves to be able to make that happen. But I will say what I feel like I'm losing is I'm losing autofocus. Now, we've had discussions about this.
Wait, let me see where you're at right now.
We've had some discussions about this. I feel like I might be losing a little autofocus, and I feel like a little autofocus. To be fair, the KX does have autofocus. And I wonder, and this is because I don't know enough about the exposure of the KX. I've heard it is not a low light monster. So I do feel like I might be losing.
Whoa. Komodo or Komodo X?
Komodo X is not a low light monster. Like I'm hearing, and I'm not saying that it's true.
Okay.
Because you're the person I would ask. But that triple base ISO from the C400, like, am I going to be better off in low light situations with it being full frame and the triple base ISO than I would be with the Komodo? So those are the two things. Obviously, there's way more benefits that I would gain from the KX, but those are the two things that I wonder about. And the tough part is with the C400 being on who knows when it's coming out, it's allowing RED to take up a lot of my mental real estate.
Well, and also you can order your KX right now and have it shipped in 2 days through B&H. So that is a tough one. But so here's the thing. I will say that like the Komodo X performs phenomenally in low light.
Wow.
And let me tell you why.
Wow.
So
get your checkbooks out.
If this is your concern, I'm gonna go on a little bit of a soapbox here for you. So here's the deal about the Komodo X. I took full screen, Drill. The Komodo X is phenomenal in low light, but not for the same reasons that a Sony or a triple base ISO Canon C400 would be. Because here's the thing about lighting and low lighting that I actually, like, I think I want to do a whole video on this. Or I might just clip this and we'll let this be it. But this is how low light works. So when it comes to low light, a lot of cameras are really good at having a lot of gain, which is ISO, right? They throw that into the camera, that boosts everything up, and then they have this really good like denoising that happens that makes the image look clean. But here's the problem with when you do that. If you actually don't have light on your subject, a human, right? You don't have any color information. The sensor is not getting any information because your skin is actually translucent, and then when light hits it, that sends that information back into the camera, and so the camera can register that as color and information. So even if you're shooting on a Sony and you're shooting at 12-800 and you have really great low light performance, but you have no light on your skin, on the actual person,
that's why people look weird.
this is why you get that muddy, nasty look, even though you're like, oh, but my Sony is like amazing in low light. But it's like, but people look like crap. Yeah, because you don't have a lot of color information and you're not giving it to your sensor because you didn't put any light on the person. However, because you're working with a RED, if you have those same cameras in the exact same scenarios, this is at least what I have found, is that when you shoot a person in that low light situation in RAW with the 16 bits, right? And you have all that dynamic range, you have more color information in the skin, even in the low light scenario. So where, yes, the Sony might look cleaner, the RED is actually going to give you better color information out of the skin because it can already capture more information. And then because it's raw, there's no denoising happening because it's just raw sensor information. So then you just throw that into DaVinci or Premiere or whatever you use, denoise it a little bit, and then you're good to go. So for me, where you're not going to get the same level of low light performance, like, yes, you're going to get more gain and more boost out of a Sony, you're going to get better skin colors out of a RED. And that's why I personally look at the Komodo X and I go, yeah, this camera does a phenomenal job in low light, but specifically when it comes to skin, because that's normally the thing that matters the most.
I think Carlos agrees with you. I saw that he said it performs well in low light. Thank you, Carlos.
Yeah.
And thank you, Brandon.
So that's just sort of to explain it a little bit for you guys. But I totally understand this whole dynamic because, like, here's the deal when it comes to the Komodo right now, right? It's the Komodo X specifically. It's currently selling for $7,000. I personally think you could probably get a package, like a reasonable package, because like you were looking at 2 terabyte cards. Honestly, I think you just need like 2 1 terabyte cards, and you'll be fine. Go with the Portkeys monitor or go with like a Shinobi SDI monitor. That'll be fine. So that can save you a little bit of money there.
How much do you like camera control? Through the monitor. Or I guess if it doesn't matter, do you just do...
I just use the actual... I mean, on the Komodo X, you have the top screen. So I would use... If I need to make any adjustments, I can use the top screen as needed.
Yeah.
But the thing about shooting on the RED for me is that normally I spend most of my time at the beginning setting it up. So I can either use the top screen, or if you're like, hey, I hate using the top screen, that's fine. Use your phone. Use an iPad if you want a bigger screen. Use a device you already have, right? Because you have all these other options.
Yeah.
But then once you start running around with the Komodo, you're good to just use, I like to say, get the outrigger handle or some type of handle that has the record button, and then you can run around and shoot on it. So I think you can build out a reasonable package now for the Komodo X, all in, for around $10,000. And so now that you're $10,000 in, you start having to compare it against $8,000 C400s and $6,000 FX6s that really need a version 2. And you start having to really look at these price points. And so with all these other cameras in the industry, the one thing that none of them can do is give you a RED image. And I think that's where a lot of people are kind of getting stuck. That's my opinion. You guys let me know in the chat. But like, I feel like that's where a lot of people are getting stuck. It's like, well, wait a minute. Now I can get very close to a Raptor image. Because I will say the Komodo X is fairly close to a Raptor image. Now, granted, Super 35 versus full frame, 8K versus 6K, and the color science is, I mean, I can't tell the difference. So like, it's very close. But dude, you can get that for $7,000 out of the box, and then add a couple accessories, and then maybe build up over time as you go. It's hard to not look at that when you see everything else that's on the market, and no one is giving you the same image quality. Because, like, I'll be honest, shooting with the FX6, when I was like kind of like catching feels for it, it had nothing to do with the image. It was just the simplicity of the ergonomics of the camera.
Well, you know what's crazy about the potential Canon to RED switch? Bro, that RF mount.
Yeah.
Yeah, Brandon, I tell you the literal truth. If the KX doesn't have an RF mount on it, I am not looking at it. The fact that it has the RF mount on it, oh my gosh, I've got 6 lenses, 7 lenses. Oh my gosh, I don't know.
Well, and the other thing, and so just for good Gremlin Media, I think that's what that says. No, this is not a pre-recorded episode. We live, baby.
Live.
But the thing about the RF mount specifically is that, like, there's already a ton of accessories to work with it. Like, there are drop-in filters. There are RF to PL adapters that have drop-in filters. There are speed boosters. Like, there's so much that you can do right now with a OG Komodo or an existing Komodo. It's a hard deal, but I'm going to be honest with you. I think that a lot of people right now who are really contemplating the Komodo X, and they're kind of sitting on the fence, and they're like, maybe not. I don't know. 7,000 is a pretty good deal. Where I think they really should be looking is the used market. Hey, thanks so much for checking out this video. If you enjoyed it, do me a huge favor. Hit that subscribe button. It's absolutely free, and you're not going to want to miss any other content we have on this channel. And if you did not enjoy this video, you probably shoot Sony. So that's all I'm going to say.